case you all want to follow me, we're asking that you come on over to Vibetalk Facing the Lion podcast. We have been looking at all week healing of the inner child. We have learned so much. Even as I present this to you, I have learned so much. And we hope that you think about your healing. We hope that you're going to think about how you heal and when to heal. And we're here. We're going to be right back. And for me, because I'm not focused on me. So what do you need to change about that, Trish? You need to focus on yourself. How do we do that? We don't become blind to everything around us, but we have an incredible desire to help ourselves. You know how people say, may I help you? Ask yourself, may I help myself? Give yourself permission to help yourself. Because if you're always thinking about being the change, never doing anything about it, you're never going to see that change. We're here. It is Think About Thursday. We were having technical difficulty, so I had to come back and restart. Thank you for joining us. Good morning, Trish.
Good morning.
What are you all thankful for? What are you thankful for? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. I'm thankful for having shelter because it's raining. It's been raining for the past 2 days. So I'm grateful for having shelter.
Love that. I'm grateful for being able to have spring time. I love flowers. Good morning, Ray. Good morning, and thank you for joining us. Good morning. We're talking about inner child wounds. Trish, what do you think that you can take home from this as we think about Thursday? And Ray, we welcome you as part of our audience. Thank you for joining us. What have you thought about it that you could take home from this? Because we're going to be doing a lot of work again today.
I believe I can take home the fact that healing from your past or inner child is important because it comes back. Sometimes the trauma comes back to you, and sometimes you question, where is this coming from? Or I thought I was over it, but in reality, you're not. So I took from this that it's okay to sit down and reflect and test yourself in seeing if you are okay, if you're healing, if you're well.
Yeah. And I feel that it's important as you go through your adult life to be able to check into yourself. Like we learned so far that our wounds, what happens to us is that our wounds are impactful. They influence us. They color our world, and they create for us awareness if we are willing to work on those wounds, to uncover them and heal them. Now, with this being said, since we are not medical professionals, you're working with me as a life coach, certified and professional. And for all of you, I deeply recommend, if you feel like you're needing help with understanding yourself and getting connection with yourself, if you feel like you need professional help, we urge you to get that. There's nothing wrong with that, because it's going to help you help yourself. In our life, the inner child really wants to be noticed. Your inner child is part of you. Your inner child wants to break out of, wants to be energetic, wants to be creative, and wants to embrace life. We had a gentleman here, and I really appreciated some things that he said. Remember that part about the Batman? And then all of a sudden, as he reached a certain age, what he was confronted with, you remember that part?
Yes.
Many children want to be freed from that. But now, just like any child, things can be shut down immediately due to the wounds that are there. As you see on the backboard, if you can get a copy by print, or for those of you who can get that, we are doing our emotions today. We're going to be dealing with that. We're going to be dealing with art today. And we try to do it on Wednesday, and we've been not doing it on Wednesday, but I'm going to introduce it as just any day for expression through art. We're going to talk about the kind of wounds that we may have. And everybody that comes on here today, one or more of you have experienced these emotions that we are going to talk about. We must be truthful, because you know what? The inner child never leaves us. We're faced with that inner child. That's the challenge. And it will, or that your inner child will be with you throughout your lifetime. We went back in memory, and we started to engage in our memory and the things that we remember. Remember how you were a ballerina while your dad played the piano? You remember that, Trish?
Yes, I do.
It was very responsive. But as you have that memory, we want you to do the inner child work. Here's a quote. In every adult there lurks a child, an eternal child, something that is becoming, is never completed, and calls for unceasing care, attention, and education. That is part of the human personality, which waits to develop and become whole. Now, there are some words in here: care, attention, and learning. You heard it as education, discovery, and awareness. I broke it down for you. Sometimes we feel it's best to numb our emotions. And much of what we have been influenced from impacts our life, our environment. You are in your housed body. On the background, you see this housed body. Did you happen to get that chart, Trish?
I saw it.
I emailed it to you or send it personally to you. Did you get it?
I didn't see it.
Okay. It is important that we think about writing today. And that's what we're doing through guided instruction. We want to be able to take our unresolved feelings and experiences, and we want to be able to deal with and resolve the patterns within us. That goes for me as well, because there lies dormant, like we talked about yesterday, emotional trauma. Good morning, Marvin, and thank you for joining us. Where are you listening in from? Where are you listening in from, please and thank you. Thank you for being here as we talk about our inner childhood wounds. New York! Thank you so much. We're glad to have you. West Coast, California, and Trish, you are from?
South Carolina.
South Carolina. So now, when things begin to creep into our lives, what is our pattern of dealing with it? What is our pattern? Can you cope, or are you still learning how? And let that be okay for you. I want to talk to you about the background. And as you think about we're glad you're here, and thank you so much. We are live on Facebook at Vibetalk. We also have other things. Trish, if you would be so kind to put the information on board, please. We are on Facebook and Instagram and YouTube. Let's talk about the guilt wound. And if you have any type of these, you are the only one who will know that. If you don't, if you haven't got this that you can draw on with your devices, I'm going to ask you to draw your hands, because that's a representation of your body. If you can't click on this and get it off the board. Guilt. How many times have you needed to apologize? And that means apologizing for something that you had no control over. How many times have you done that, Trish?
A lot.
Yeah. In fact, I know someone who's always apologizing. And I always ask them, why do you always apologize? You're sorry if you're not able to do something. You feel really bad. Anybody feeling like that?
I do sometimes.
Yeah. Guilt wound. Now, if you don't have this paper that's behind you, because we're going to be doing some art, I'd like you to draw your hand and talk about the experience as you draw your hand of what makes you guilty for feeling sorry or bad for something that may not be in your control. We do that. Those are guilt wounds. And it's going to awaken you to your awareness. How many of us don't like to ask for things?
Me.
Yeah, I don't like to ask for anything because I always feel like it's going to be a no. So what I would do is put a color there on the body, and that color would be a red zone for me, anywhere on the body there. And if you are drawing hands, good morning and welcome. You can draw your hands, and I want you to put a color there if that's familiar to you. On your fingers, put a color there. And you're going to find out why we did this today. How many of us use guilt to manipulate other people, or we have been guilted by someone who has manipulated us? Anybody? I have. So I would make a mark again of any choice of color, how that feels. How about setting boundaries for yourself? How many of you are struggling with that? Setting boundaries for yourselves.
I am.
Anybody? And how does that feel, Trish? And for whomever is on with us right now, you may write in the chat box. If you're live with us, please feel free to do that. Or you can just listen to see what we're all about. I think you're going to really benefit from this. Trish, you want to tell us about your experience of feeling that you need to set boundaries?
Well, it's hard for me to set boundaries because I feel like if I set boundaries, that just means that I'm heartless, and I feel like it's sending a message to people that I love that I don't love them, that I'm not open to them. So that's why I don't set boundaries like that.
And how does that make you feel?
It makes me feel like I'm suffocating sometimes because I just want my own space, and sometimes I crave my own space, but I feel like I can't. So it's very suffocating for me.
So, how many of you are afraid to set boundaries for yourself? Not me. If you are feeling afraid to set boundaries for yourself, I need you to color one finger if you have drawn your hands. And if you have the picture, I need you to be able to make a mark on the bodies that you see. If you're afraid to set boundaries. And don't worry, we're going to post this on our page on Facebook so that you can follow along even if you are streaming us. You'll be able to follow along, so don't worry. We're talking about our guilt wounds. How many times have you had people in your life who have made you feel guilty for something?
A lot.
A lot? You should put one mark on that body or one mark on your hands. You're going to really appreciate and discover about yourself today. We understand that many things trigger us, but if we never talk about it, we never get better. Don't you want to get better? I want you to think about that on this Think About Thursday. We're going to be right back. While you're in thought, we're going to a commercial break. And we're going to see you in one moment. Please don't go away.
Feel free to be interactive and tell us your stories.
We're back. And we'd like to say thank you all for joining Vibetalk Facing the Lion podcast. Please join our YouTube page if you like our podcast. So now we're talking about healing our wounds. Let's get into it. So far we've got guilt wounds. We're moving on to trust. I want you, when something has affected you, on your paper, if you've drawn hands or if you've downloaded this inner child wound paper, to put a mark on things that have affected you. Trust wound. You're afraid to be hurt. Me?
I am.
Me? Yeah. Now, how difficult is that for you to be able to express that emotion? And remember to put a mark on that part of yourself. How difficult is that? Or is that difficult for you to say that?
It's very difficult for me to say that.
Yeah. Why do you think that is?
Because it even hurts to say that, and also I don't like feeling or saying how I feel out loud. So that's why.
Thank you for sharing that. How many of you out there feel the way that our co-host Trish feels? There's a lot of you out there that may listen to this that may feel that. I'm afraid of rejection. I'm afraid to get married again. Oh, don't get me wrong. I like love. But to trust is a whole different thing. And I'm working on that part of myself. That part of myself. So if you're afraid to be hurt, I want you to, if you drew your hands, I want you to color one finger. Both hands you should be drawing. And you can do this exercise at home if you're feeling okay to do that. You can do it with me guided. You can do it right here, however you want to do it. The next one under trust wound is how many of you don't trust yourself? You don't trust yourself. What do I mean by that? You might make a decision, but you're not sure of those decisions. We all have that from time to time. But the doesn't trust yourself may look like not taking any risk.
I have that.
You're afraid to perhaps fail. You're afraid that if you do this, you don't know what the outcome is going to be, so you're not trusting your judgment. You don't trust it. You don't trust yourself. And if you don't have that issue, don't put a mark on yourself or on the paper, please. You find ways to not trust people, sabotaging relationships. How many of you have ever done that?
I have.
I have too. And I have done it so much that I would already say that person's too good for me. That person has a wrong motive to like me because I'm me. Anybody had that happen? If you have, I want you to put a mark on this body or one of your fingers. Be creative with this, by the way. Please and thank you. How about under your trust wounds, you feel insecure and need a lot of outside validation? In other words, you want people to acknowledge you a lot. I have people that are in my life or have been in my life that need outside validation. External is outside. Thank you so much, Marvin. We appreciate you being here all the way from New York. I have some friends that live in New York. Yeah. Feel insecure, need lots of external validation. So they're going to be the extra. How many of you know people like that? They're just the extra. Anybody?
I do.
Yeah, how does that make you feel?
I'm like that sometimes. So that makes me feel like I'm overworking myself to please other people. That's how it makes me feel.
Okay, Marvin, thank you for being here. And please keep following us. Find our YouTube page, and I'm glad that you're getting help, Marvin. And thank you. You're always welcome here. Find our Facebook pages. Please click like on our YouTube page. It's free. And if you ever want to talk, I always do one-on-ones. Glad you're getting help to be able to talk to someone. That's a good thing. There's nothing wrong with that. Have a great day. Marvin, all the way from New York, joined us. Thank you, Marvin. And by the way, Marvin, our program is being recorded for your listening, wherever you listen to your favorite podcast. Yeah, people in your lives sometime can. Good morning and welcome. Where are you listening in from to our audience out there? I'm all the way from the West Coast, and my co-host is all the way
in the East Coast.
South Carolina, and I'm in the West Coast, Antelope Valley, Palmdale, California. Where are you from? Where are you from? As you will come in or come on into our group room, Louisiana. All right. Getting warmer weather? Or how is the spring there? Love it. We have so many people. We actually get so many people, and we thank you guys for coming in. We're talking about healing your inner child wounds. We're doing inner work today. So now that we're asking ourselves, afraid to be hurt, doesn't trust themselves, find ways not to trust people. Do you have marks on you, Trish?
Yes, I do.
Me too. Okay, so it's actually kind of chilly this morning, but warming up. Okay, we're so glad you've joined us. We are live on Facebook, and please like our pages. We're also on YouTube. You're going to really love our channel. Thanks to Trish. Thank you for all the hard work you do. Thank you for the hearts. I love those yellow and orange hearts. Those are pretty. How about this one? Feels insecure and, oh, we did that one. You don't feel safe. How many moments have you had in your life where you have a wound of trust or not to trust? Did you not feel safe? Me.
I have.
Mine was especially during intimate moments with my husband. Um, we'll leave that right there. Or sometimes I'm overwhelmed. One time I went to a massage therapist or massage for my hip and my back, and I got an immediately, I didn't feel safe. And it just was like a wave over me. So I see that with myself. How many times have you been with somebody that you didn't feel safe with, but you find out that the people that surround you don't feel safe either? Are you a person that attracts that? How are you doing in that regard? How are you doing in that regard? Because sometimes, our lives, we may get that, not attracting the people that are good for us, but instead we attract people who are similar, and that's in a bad way, or excuse me, in a challenged way. We have to challenge ourselves. If you've got trust wounds, then I want you to look at the paper that you are working on. Abandonment. Abandonment wounds. We are coloring our bodies. You know, and I figure since everybody likes to tattoo, you can even do it on yourself just as a project, but use washable ink. You can even do it on yourself. That would be pretty cool. Feels left out. When was there a time when you felt left out? Or have you ever felt that? Anybody?
I have.
What was that like for you, and when did that happen?
That happened when I was a kid in elementary school. We didn't really have my family. We didn't have much, so it was a certain day for the school. I think it was white t-shirt day, to wear a white t-shirt, and I didn't have one, and I was the only person sitting in the classroom while everybody else was in the hallway taking pictures. And I've experienced that a lot when I was in elementary. Like, I wasn't included in certain things, but it made me feel very lonely and very excluded from everybody. Like, I felt different.
Okay. Thank you for your braveness. Thank you so much. Yeah. How many of you can relate to that, of feeling left out? See, my wounds are, I want people to leave me alone. You see how we are affected in our wounds? Because of hurt. I want to, at times, I'm getting better. I'm really working on myself, because now I can embrace me, but I still have moments where I want to be invisible. How many times do you feel like you have fear of being left? We're talking about abandonment. You fear being left. That was a really big one for me for a long time. Not so much anymore. I went through a divorce. I went through abandonment, and I didn't know how to handle that. I always blamed myself for that. It was something about me while I was abandoned in relationships. It was, and it wasn't many that I was abandoned from, but I too have abandoned relationships. Let's be honest. Someone has a wound because of me in relationships, because I didn't take relationships seriously. I always knew I was going to be the one hurt. So that's a really big one for me, abandonment. How many of you hate being alone? Hate being alone.
I do.
And why is that, if you care to share? If you guys are not feeling safe to share, You don't have to, because you're listening to this even in the privacy of your work or home or wherever. You can do your work at home. That's what's so nice about streaming these podcasts. What is your experience, Trish, if you care to tell?
I do. Loneliness just scares me in general because I just don't like the feeling of feeling like nobody wants to take time to spend with me. That's how it makes me feel because I was bullied in school. So loneliness automatically makes me feel like people don't want to take time out of their day to talk to me or spend quality time with me. And I'm the kind in relationships, I always stress the person out when they like don't text me in like, I don't know, 10 minutes. I'm like, where are you at? Like, are you just leaving me on read? Like, that's me. And I'm working on it though. I'm working on it.
Yeah. I have to identify with you on something you said. The texting thing makes me feel like if you've got a phone and time has went by, why didn't you take a moment? Was I that bad that you didn't care about me to even take one moment? Not at that moment that I called, but some time has went by. And I know you have a phone because I see you on the phone. That feels like abandonment. Thank you for that, Trish, because you just triggered that in me. To be honest about that is not that you have to answer your phone right then and there, but can you be kind enough to answer your phone or text a message? Hey, I'm not here, you know. But when I know that you're on your phone, and that's people in general, kind consideration, because I do. I blame myself, and I always feel like I got abandoned. So I have to really say that. Thank you. Codependent. Sometimes I have had people in my life that is so reliant on that one person. And I mean to the point that if that person were to die unexpectedly, they could not live. You know how we say the words, we're going back to verbiage, I can't live without you. I can't go on without you. That's what I think about. How many of us are codependent on that one person in our lives? I've always felt like I couldn't really rely on a human, and so I never really formed attachments that way. A whole lot of people in my life, and I have very few people that I call my friends. I'm not that one that needs to have an entourage with me. You won't find me doing that. But if you're doing that, check into that.
I relate to that.
Codependent. If that looks like you are more reliant on one person, find some quality time for yourself to think about your wounds as a child. We're working on healing our wounds, giving some thought. How many times have you threatened to leave and abandon the other person or the person did it to you? Threatened to leave. I'm going to say that I've been the most who has threatened to leave. So much so that I actually did it. Just one day, just up and left. And that really hurt the guy because I did that. Up and left. Abandonment wound. How many of us are attaching ourselves to people that aren't emotionally available for us? Whether it's a parent, whether it's a relative or someone that we spend all our emotional energy in if we are there. Yeah, this is getting deep, isn't it? See, we have to find out where our inner child hurts. If you have any of those, I want you to be brave enough to put a mark on. My abandonment one is very strong, and my trust one was very strong. We're going to go to break, and we're going to come right back. We need to take a break. We'll quit here.
Facing the lion is always positive. And so I ask you today, facing the lions, facing the lions.
We're back. And we're talking about healing or discovery of our inner child wounds. Neglect wounds is our next one. Struggles to let things go. That's me. Struggles to let things go. I'm working through it. How does yours look, Trish? And anybody else that's out there? Struggles to let things go.
It's pretty bold right now because I have that issue.
Yeah. Put a mark on that body or on those hands. Be creative, guys. If you got markers, crayons, felt pens, because you can see yourself like no one else can. How many of us have low self-esteem? Low self-esteem. Anybody know how that feels?
I do.
Yeah. What's that like for you?
It's very depressing and it makes me feel like I can't depend on myself when I need my own support. Like, I'm always putting myself down before I go up.
Uh-huh. Okay. Do you see yourself in, now that you've said that, do you see yourself in any other one? Trust wounds? You see where it says doesn't trust themselves? Did you mark that one?
Yes, I did.
Yeah, yeah. So you can go back and say, well, this is over. This categorizes this. Think about this one. Gets angry easily. That is me. Get angry easily. Doing better though. When we first started there, last night I really got angry at my younger son, and rightly so. But then I got really angry. And sometimes my words are angry and hurtful. But I am working through that. A situation arose and it made me very angry. Loss of control. See, we can create for other people wounds as they can create for us. We need to discover those things about ourselves. How many of you have gotten angry easily? If you have, I want you to put a mark on your body. We have a sheet here. I will post it to our page. Trish will post it to our YouTube page because this is an interactive podcast, and feel free to share it if you care to. Under neglect wound, struggles to say no. Not my problem. I just say no. In fact, I have a shirt that says nope. My kid bought me a Mickey Mouse shirt, and Mickey is saying nope. When he gifted me that shirt, I saw me exactly. And I love Mickey Mouse, as you all know. But why? Why do you struggle to say no?
I have that issue.
And why do you think you struggle to say no?
Because I don't want to disappoint people. Like when I'm doing something and when I'm in my piece and someone asks me, "Can I talk to you about something?" and I'm in my moment, I automatically remove my piece and just go on to that person. And I know that they're going to ruin my mood, my good mood, but I continue to do it because I don't want them to see me as like a bad friend or someone that's not reliable towards them.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Thank you for that. How many of you repress emotions? You really don't talk about your feelings? Because I'm going to tell you right now, if you don't talk about your feelings, Vibetalk Facing the Lion is all about you being in your feelings and learning how to talk them out. How many of you fear being vulnerable? You feel vulnerable. What does that mean? That you don't open up. I fear that.
I do as well.
I fear being vulnerable, but I'm getting better. Like, I'm always around people. My whole life consists of that at any given time. In fact, I had someone that came up to me and said, "Hey, can we take a picture together?" And that was like a no. No. Now, if you had been my sister or my close friend or someone that, I was comfortable with, I probably wouldn't have said that. And then I started to feel bad. And then I said, no. I said, I learned to talk out my feelings. I said, I'm not much in the way of taking pictures right now. They just wanted to take a picture with me. But I was proud of myself because I didn't want them to feel as if they had done anything wrong, because we can wound people by not talking it out. See, instead of me just shutting it down, saying, no, 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 explain to them why I didn't feel much in the mood like doing that. How many of you attract people usually who don't appreciate you or make you feel seen? You are attracted to people who don't appreciate you, and with that comes they don't make you feel seen. I have that issue with someone that was closely related to me. I had to admit that. Why do I love this relative so much, and they do that to me all the time? It broke our bond of closeness because I always felt like it was intentional. Remember how we talked about unintentional and intentional? That was intentional, them doing that to me. And I was finally able to set boundaries. And that's what I've done. Set boundaries. We're going to be right back. We're going to go into the healing part because tomorrow we're going to be talking about challenges. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Feel free to be interactive and tell us your story.
Good morning and welcome to our audience, and we're back. Our audience member wants to know a guilt wound. Guilt wound. We're going to have this posted on our YouTube pages. It will tell you. Let me go back to that because I think that's important, and thank you for your question. Guilt wounds are feeling sorry or bad for something that is not in your control. Uses guilt to manipulate. Someone has done that, or you may have done that to someone. He is afraid to set boundaries. Or a person who attracts people who make them feel guilty. Has that happened to you? Okay. And you can get this right off of our page. We are live right now, and this will be available for you. Our co-host will put that in our community pages on our YouTube and post it. Now, moving on. Before I turn to Trisha's treasures, I want to make sure that we are working on the healing. That you recognize all this week that you have a inner child And with that inner child, you're able to heal your inner child. You're able to come face to face with your childhood, meeting together with the adult you and understanding why you are the way you are from something that happened in your childhood. How do we pay attention to these things? Tomorrow we're going to talk about challenges that we have faced during those times. Remember how I said that things in our childhood has left impact on us? Everyone who's going to listen to this today has indeed been affected by your childhood. You have developed, and as your development process happened during your childhood, you were indeed stained with what happened to you. You know those markers that you're using, those crayons that you're using right now, that is representation of what you just did. Can you see it, Trish?
Yes.
As a child, you were incapable of fixing it because someone, something was in your life, if that were to be. You had no control over what your environment is. We'll get into that tomorrow to let you know when you face the challenge of healing your inner wounds, exactly what can happen for you. I want us to talk about with practice. Here's a quote. We can see that our wounded inner child is not only us. Our wounded inner child may represent several generations. The way you have been impacted, and then when you have children, some of the things that has wounded you may be passed over into their childhood. And guess what? When those children grow up, your children grow up, it is now passed on to them. That is a generation of people. Good morning, Lee. Good morning and welcome. We're talking about inner childhood. Where are you all listening in from, please and thank you? What state? Please and thank you. Lido from New Jersey. Thank you so much. Lido. Am I saying that right? I hope so. Now, as you pass those wounds off onto your generation, your offspring and their offspring, you must go back. If you have listened to our podcast earlier this week, we do have them on our YouTube page and on our Facebook page. We are live there right now. Remember how I said, thank you so much, Adelito. Thank you. We want you to understand that everyone got here by mother and father. Listen to this. Our mothers may have suffered throughout her lifetime. Our fathers may have suffered. our parents weren't able to look after the wounded child in themselves. Oh yeah, Cheyenne, hi. Yes, I do remember you. I had lost this page for so long, and for some odd reason, I was able to get back on this page. Nice to have you with us. So because of them not being able to feed into their inner child, how can they give it to you when they haven't discovered or paid attention or ignored their inner child? Here's the healing part. When we're embracing the wounded inner child in us, ladies and gentlemen, we are embracing all the wounded inner children in our past generation. Numerous children, not just ourselves. At this moment, I would like you to put your hands, embracing them around your neck. Yeah, it is, Cheyenne. Very good. Is it normal to be all four? Yes. It's not normal, but you can see the wound. And the project, once you go back to listen to this, there are people in a group who are talking to me, ladies and gentlemen, bear with me. Go back and color, make marks on each body. We're going to post it to our page. I want you guys to come back and tell me what your experience was when you have done the work. You're going to color. If you're all those, you're going to color and you're going to talk about each of those things as you discover it. So is it normal? I would say there is nothing wrong with discovering that those things have affected you. Okay? We just want you to know how to work on them. Work on them. Thank you for that question. I want you all to embrace yourself right now and give yourself a hug. If that is the first hug that you have had this morning, please give yourself permission to receive that hug. When we see ourselves, we need to challenge ourselves to fix it. How do we fix it? How many of you understood the word embrace? Cheyenne says, I'm learning to love myself. We love that. It's not easy, ladies and gentlemen. We want you to know that. It's not easy to discover those things that have impacted our life, that has caused us so much pain. But when we discover why we're the way we are, then we can understand our childhood. And that's why I say, even if we have parents, hug, yes, yes, thank you. So what do? We embrace all that we are. The reason we did this assignment, ladies and gentlemen, of marking on our papers, on those body images, because when you are born, you have a clean slate. Nobody knows you. The only person that you're closest to is your mommy. For 9 months, your mother has carried you. You've been with her from the time of conception. We wanted you to be able to look back at where you started from. Remember, we talked about the memory and how you have no memory. Nobody can ever tell you about your birth because you don't remember it. That's so remarkable to me. But we do have an age where it starts imprinting us. Even beyond that, we might be affected by things. Moms who smoke, moms who take drugs, even some things our dad may have done. We are instinctively born with that. You know, if dad has gray eyes, it's a possibility that you're going to have gray eyes. You inherit things from your parents, but you do have them. If mom doesn't speak to you, how would you fix that? Because you can't make her speak. What would you do to take control of that? Are you satisfied with her not speaking to you? What could you do? Yes! Cheyenne says, I need to work on myself and hope she comes around. Yes, because the more that you work on yourself, the better that you are to be able to understand yourself. And then when you have compassion for yourself, you're going to automatically have compassion for other people. Make sense? We're going to be right back. My co-host is going to do Trish's Treasures. I haven't forgot, Trish. We'll be right back. Stay tuned for a commercial. Saturday nights, ladies and gentlemen, we are on Vibetalk After Dark. Since I'm back with the old podcast, because I lost my password, I wanted to share something with you. It's a new radio show. Music, song dedications, and inspirations. Saturday night is Vibetalk After Dark. You can even go listen to it now. And we're here every Saturday night after dark, wherever you live. Go check us out. We're back. Trish's Treasures. We're going to turn it over to Trish. Trish?
So I've been on my project that I'm doing right now for this workshop. I did mine away. I did mine's different. My hand's different on.
Can anybody hear her? Can you guys hear her? Anybody on here? No. Okay, thank you. Trish, do us a favor. Just call into the show.
Okay.
Okay? She's going to call in. If you have any questions right now, guys, this will be a good time to call. Or good time to put it in your chat box as we wait for her to call. That way you all can hear her. If you have any questions, thank you all for joining. 661 503 8995.
Hello?
Okay. We are live on the air with our co-host Trish, who's going into our segment Trish's Treasures. Hello?
Can you hear me?
Yes. Go ahead, please.
Okay. So, on my project that for the workshop, I drew two hands, and one hand has my marks on them, and the other hand, I decided to color the other hand into a healing color and make the finger touch the hand that has the wounds on it and combine the colors together. And for me, that's a sign for myself that I need to embrace myself. Just a touch from me can make a difference for myself and help me heal my wounds that I have. Embrace yourself and let your little self, your little you, know that the older you is working on yourself. You're working on yourself, and I know for me, that's a reflection to me to say that I know I went through that in the past, but as I got older, I'm learning to know that I'm stronger and I'm resilient and I can keep going and persevere. And the wounds will heal.
Thank you so much for that from Trish's Treasures. Thank you, Trish, for that. Hang on with us as we conclude. For those of you who were here, what did you learn and discover about yourself during this Think About Thursday's Inner Child Wounds? Trish? And those of you who are on here, if you've been on here and you learned something, what did you learn?
Today I learned and discovered that I have a lot of guilt that wasn't meant for me. I have a lot of attention that I need to give to myself, and I have things that I need to work on and heal, or I give someone else a wound that was not meant to be given to them. And my experience here today, it was triggering. I was very triggered here today.
And triggering is not a bad thing. It looks ugly, it looks fearful, but believe me, it wakes you up. We want to be able to speak into ourselves as if we were staring in the face of our inner child. Everyone has one. And if you revisit your childhood, then you have an inner child. If you hop, skip, jump, play kid games, roll around with your children, you have an inner child. Let's not be afraid of that. Let's speak into, let's welcome, let's invite that inner child, because at the time that they were, or you were young, you had no idea of how you would adult yourself. You learned from your environment. That is a fact. And I hope you, ladies and gentlemen, have learned something about yourselves. If you're just starting here today, go back. We have all of these recorded for your listening to understand it. We want you to challenge yourself. Tomorrow, we're going to get into the challenging part of being able to speak into ourselves well and good things. What you've learned today is all about your being able to come to and realize that everyone living and breathing has wounds. You've only learned about the groups of wounds that you have developed. If you have fallen physically, as many times as I have fallen physically when I was a kid, riding bikes, jumping on fences, running around, playing green light go, dodgeball. Our list goes on and on and on. You survived those physical wounds. Some may have been bigger than others or more serious than others, but the fact that you're hearing my voice, you have survived. The same as you will survive or have survived your emotional, your mental wounds. Let's not deny the fact that we've all been painted with some kind of wound. We're going to learn how to challenge ourselves tomorrow. Don't forget to be here on our finally Friday. That's my favorite day. Be right here. Our audience member says this: I definitely have a neglect and abandonment wound from when my mother went to prison from your age 9 to 16 and growing up without your father's presence. You see how you say that? Everyone has a father. And Trish, you brought that out. Thank you for writing that so well and for identifying what some of your wounds are. So neglect and abandonment. I want you guys to be able to pull this sheet off of the computers if you can, download it or put it on your phones, work on it, make the marks on your sheets, and you would have to listen to the entire podcast to understand how to do the work here. We do real work here. And if you ever feel like you want a one-on-one with me, if you've been here before, then you know you can get in touch with us directly or through our social medias. And we're going to post the podcast, we're recording it, and we're going to post this page for you to be able to get it and download it. Working on ourselves. Is it a bad thing? Is it a challenging thing? Or has it been good for you this week? We will conclude in our series for tomorrow's finally Friday, facing our lions, which are our wounds. So be right here tomorrow. We start at 6:30 California time, and you know where I am. Thank you all for joining us, and thank you to my amazing co-host Trish for being here. We've had some really technical issues. You're very welcome. Our audience member says thank you. I'm always here for you guys. If you want a one-on-one, we are happy to be with you. All you have to do is video call me or set up or text me, however you want to do it. I'm always here that we can talk one-on-one. Okay? Thank you guys. And I want you to think about ways of healing your inner child. I appreciated Cheyenne's quick response about her mother not talking to her, but that she could work on herself. That was very, very wise, don't you think, Trish?
Yes, I do.
Yes. And thank you for calling in, because we have difficulty, and I understand that. I wish you more to think about the wounds and how to heal them of your inner child. We'll be right back here tomorrow. Thanks for joining Vibetalk Facing the Lion podcast.
I was really about the noise and then I got the vibe with it. I really took my time with it. Really love the ride with it. Yeah, really got the vibe with it. I took my time with it. I really love the ride with it. You can really see it, baby, you. When you get the vibe with it. Yeah, when you get the vibe with it. Yeah.